Hey everyone, welcome to Super C. My name is Percy Jules, and today I'd like to talk about something that I read on Reddit. It is actually a question that was posted by someone that goes by the name of Evil Hard Emote, something like that. Don't know how to pronounce that correctly. Anyway, what it comes down to is this. So, what do you think about the sentiment that creating electronic music takes no talent or skill? And then he goes on by saying that he or she doesn't agree with this because he or she is actually a fan of electronic music. And he also says that one of the arguments that people use is that nowadays, when it comes to electronic music, people use computers and they don't really have to learn how to play an instrument anymore. Anyway, at the end, this person asks, so what do you think? Okay, so what do I think? Well, this is a very interesting question, Evil Hard Emote. And this person is right. This comes up a lot, this question, and it's usually brought up by people that started creating music prior to the electronic music era. Like me, actually. I started creating music even before the computer revolution. And in those days, whenever you wanted to do anything with music, whenever you wanted to create anything with music, you had no other choice but to first learn how to play an instrument. So that is true, because there was no other way to get anything across. There was no other way of translating whatever was inside of you to something that someone else could receive. So this was just how it was done. And this also became part of being a musician. And it also became part of the romantic idea and the subculture of being a musician. And many musicians identified with that. And actually they still do today. Anyway, then something changed dramatically. Now, change is a funny thing, or at least the way people respond to it. And there are actually two ways of responding to change. You can either embrace it and go with it and see the benefits of it and also see the inevitability about it, or you could also get very afraid of it. And let's face it, most people are at least somewhat afraid of change. But if you're very afraid, what happens is that people start to resist it and start to reject it, and they start to discredit everything about that change. And that is actually what happened here, because the changes were pretty dramatic, and it just startled a lot of people, including me at first. I mean, the first time I heard house music, I was really like, really? This is music now? Because I heard all kinds of strange, unnatural, artificial sounds, and also the structure of the songs changed. It got simplified a lot. So it took me a while to get used to that. But some people really got stuck in that old way of looking at it. And they were like, no, you have to play an instrument to be a musician, and creating music with a computer, that's not music, that's not how it's supposed to be. And they were really discrediting creating music with this new technology. And so they really got stuck in those old beliefs of how music should be made. Now, I have to say, yes, it is true that, creating music nowadays has become a lot easier than it used to be. So, for instance, it is true, you don't have to play an instrument anymore to create music. So you don't have to go through all that, learning an instrument and practicing for years and years until finally you're good enough and you can start creating your own music. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just buy a computer, turn it on, and you start creating music immediately. So it's true, it's gotten a lot easier in many ways. So looking at it like that, looking at it from that old perspective, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Because also, that's one of the great things about music is that everyone has his own perspective and anyone's perspective is valid. So again, not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I am saying, though, is that there is another way of looking at it. You could also open up to it and go with it and embrace it, and you will see that there is nothing to be afraid of. Because first of all, the old way of making music, it's still there. Nothing has changed. You can still do it like that if you want to, so nothing is being threatened here. The only thing that has happened is that now, through all that new technology, we've been given infinitely more possibilities. It's just an expansion of what was already there. And it has allowed us to create new things that we would have never been able to do before. And to me, that's just very exciting. So that's also a way of looking at it. But it is true, all this new technology has made it a lot easier for people to create music in many ways. But here's the thing. What we've been talking about, what I've been talking about up until now is technique. So playing an instrument, that is technique. And technique is something you can learn. It is something you can get better at with practice. If there is something you don't know, you can ask it. Someone can tell you. It is documentable. Documentable?
That is an existing word, yes.
Okay. So that is technique. Technique is something completely different from really creating, from really composing music. Those are two very different disciplines. I mean, there are people that have mastered their instrument. They are master at playing guitar or playing piano or whatever. They've been doing so for decades, but they don't know how to create, how to compose a song. And nowadays, the opposite is also true. So there are people that are very good at creating music, at composing music, but they don't know how to play an instrument. So those two are very different disciplines. And when it comes to creating music, so composing music, at its core, this isn't something you can really learn, I believe. Because let me tell you how it works, basically. So what you do, first of all, is you set an intention. And this is something you do consciously, so I guess this is something you can practice and get better at. But what you do next is you kind of open up. And you open up to what? Well, if you're religious, you might say you open up to God, or you open up to the universe, or to your higher mind, or your subconscious. Whatever it is, you kind of just surrender to it. And then some ideas may come to you. And based on those ideas, you can start building a song upon it. And that building a song, again, is something you can practice and something you can get better at. But this phenomenon of conceiving those fundamental ideas, there is nobody in the world that will ever be able to tell you how it works exactly, because nobody knows. It's a mystery, because this exceeds the human mind. The human mind is absolutely incapable of even comprehending this. Nobody knows how. It's a mystery. So, this isn't something you can learn. This isn't something you can get better at with practice. It just happens, and nobody knows how. And also, very relevant in this case, is that computers cannot do this. I mean, no matter how much technology you throw at it, no matter how advanced the computer is, I mean, even in 10,000 years when computers are ultra advanced, a computer will just never, ever be able to do this. It's impossible. I mean, you can use a computer, and in many ways it will make the process of creating a song much easier for you, but it just will never be able to conceive those fundamental ideas. You will always still have to do that yourself. Now, this phenomenon I've been talking about is actually the same for any style of music. I mean, the exterior might be different. I mean, the exterior of jazz music is much different than that of reggae music, or that of Scottish folk music, or that of traditional Chinese Cantonese music. But at its essence, it is actually exactly the same for any kind of music. As long as your perspective is in line with that of whoever created that song, whoever created that music, it is going to trigger the same kind of emotions, is going to trigger the same euphoria than any other style of music. And that to me is probably the single most important criterion for good music, so to speak. So it doesn't matter what style of music we're talking about. Also, if we're talking about techno music, which this person talks about a lot, it is in no way less valuable or less worthy than any other style of music. So in conclusion, yes, it is absolutely true that because of computers and new technology we have nowadays, the process of making new music has absolutely been made much easier than it used to be. Computers just take away a lot of work for us. It's so easy, you don't even have to play an instrument anymore to create music. Also, just to give you an example, if you already have a basic idea recorded already and you're thinking, okay, so how should this song progress from here? You can just literally copy paste, listen to it and think, no, I don't like this, put it back, try something else and keep on doing that until you're happy. In the olden days, you had to already have the song completed in your head before you could even start recording. Can you imagine that? So it's been made much easier. But when it comes down to really creating, really composing music, it doesn't matter which style of music we're talking about. No style of music is any less valuable or less worthy than any other style of music. It's all just a matter of perspective. So there you have it. That's my opinion. I'm actually very interested in your opinion. So maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me, maybe you have some arguments to back that up. Anyway, let me know, leave a comment. Also, if you like these kind of videos, please hit that subscribe button. If you want to, you might also give it a thumbs up. Anyway, for now, I just want to thank you for watching and I will talk to you soon.